How in the world does somebody like Goku, of all people,
Hey, how many times are you gonna call me an idiot today?
get so lucky to marry someone like ChiChi? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple, but it's also a lot more complicated than just a simple, like, pat, even though that is somehow also a part of this. My name is Josue, welcome to the Panic Brothers channel, and let's break down how the hell this insane couple even got married to begin with. Now, it all started way back in the days of the original Dragon Ball series. Chapter 11 to be exact, which is the exact chapter when ChiChi was introduced. It's insane to remember that ChiChi was actually one of the OG characters introduced in Dragon Ball. Like, I know she doesn't really have much of a role in Dragon Ball nowadays, well, really, ever, but to think that she was introduced before, like, other really big characters like Krillin is just crazy to me to think about. Now, in Chapter 11, we see Yamcha beat the shit out of ChiChi, something that if Goku were to find out about, I'm sure he'll... Anyways, Chi-Chi's dad has a Dragon Ball, but his entire castle is burning down. He agrees to give the Dragon Ball to Goku if he can not only find his daughter, but also get the Bansho fan. Remember that, the Bansho fan. Remember that. Goku finds her and tries to get Chi-Chi onto the Flying Nimbus, something she's able to do, but only when she pulls on Goku's tail, exposing his weakness. This is so interesting to me that Goku's weakness was exposed from Chi-Chi, of all people. Goku's tail being actually like really hard for Goku to like deal with is, well, in all Saiyans, really, that's a plot point right there. That's something that keeps consistently getting brought up later, especially in the Saiyan saga. So to think Chi-Chi was the first one, that's... Chi-Chi's... Who is Chi-Chi? Chi-Chi was the first to really... Chi-Chi was instrumental for Goku's development. Can you believe that? Oh my god. But there really wasn't all that much to Chi-Chi when she was first introduced. She came across as a simple girl, just boy crazy. Not really too different from how Bulma was primarily written at this point in the story. And when you look at what her outfit was, considering she's a child, yeah, I love you, Toriyama, but bro, you don't know how to write woman, bro. Jeez. This pat-pat interaction is what prompted Chi-Chi to ask for his hand in marriage once the two become of age. Again, Toriyama does not know how to write woman if a pat-pat is what does it. And Goku, being as naive as he is, he agrees despite not knowing what marriage is. Years later, during the Piccolo Jr. arc, Chi-Chi shows up as a contestant for the World Tournament and is eager to say hello to Goku. Just for him to say, he has no idea who she is. Fellas, as a married man, I promise you, never do that. Never say you don't know a woman even if you don't know her. Just pretend. At least. Because, dude, Goku fumbled, bro. It's lucky that he still got with Chi-Chi, bro. How do you say he forgot her, man? God, everyone was calling him an idiot. At least I would. He eventually remembers good, and she brings up the fact that they agreed to get married years ago. And Goku, well, he's just cool with it. Who cares? After defeating Piccolo Jr., he rides off on the Flying Nimbus with Chi-Chi like they did years ago, and they proceed to have a happy marriage, which was, of course, consummated with the creation of Gohan. Of course I'm mentioning consummation. Consummation's crazy. Now, we start the event of Dragon Ball Z with the two already married. We don't even see how they got married or anything. They're just living life happy together as a family. Now, there's a picture of their wedding that you always see when you Google it, but funny enough, it's actually from a filler arc from the original Dragon Ball anime. In fact, that filler arc is completely devoted to Goku and Chi-Chi leading up to their wedding and is what ends the original Dragon Ball anime. Enter the Wedding Dress in Flames arc. This is such a ridiculous arc, I'm not gonna lie. It's so weird, so bad. Yeah, it's horrible. Ox King's castle catches on fire again, and this filler arc gives an actual explanation as to why this keeps happening. On the underside of the mountain, which the castle sits atop of, is a magical furnace in which the steam that comes out allows for safe passage of both the dead and the living to come between the living and the dark worlds. What is that? That's such a ridiculous excuse. Yo, filler arcs tend to always do the most. There was so many natural ways to go about this. You could have just easily made this a slice of life. Or if you really wanted to get into the action, I get it. People were watching Dragon Ball 4 action. This is just so stupid. This is not the way to do it. A magical furnace? Then again, I feel like Toriyama would probably write something like that too. But in a better way. In a better way. Ox King stays behind to protect the wedding dress from catching on fire, and the two have to ask Master Roshi for help, to which Turtle suggests that they both need the Bansho fan, there it is, and to find a fire eater. This entire arc decides to give so much extra context and lore to an item that is barely consequential to anything in canon. There's a whole village here, which is apparently the hometown of Oolong, since there's other anthropomorphic pigs there, and it has this giant rock in the middle of town with instructions on how to make the Bancho fan. The instructions are technically in Namekian, but that's a piece of lore that is just way too out there. I'm not going to get into how Namekians somehow knew what to do with the Bancho fan. Why was it written in Namekian? Why would Namekians need a Bancho fan? That piece of lore is just too big brain for me. Also, the Pilaf gang show up to disrupt Goku and ChiChi on their quest, and one of the only reasons why I appreciate this arc is simply because it gives ChiChi more screen time to show off her martial arts. One of the only games that you even get to see more of ChiChi like this as a martial artist is Super Dragon Ball. And of course, in that game, they give her the Bancho fan as a weapon. Goku and ChiChi eventually recover the Bancho fan from an old woman named Grandma Hakake, but the fan does absolutely nothing to help with the fire of the castle. Fortune teller Baba suggests Goku must go to the magical furnace in the Dark World, where they meet up with both Grandpa Gohan and the guardian of the furnace named Anin. Goku's reunion with Grandpa Gohan unfortunately isn't as touching as it was back in the Fortune teller Baba saga, but the one thing I do love is that it provides Goku a way to have a means to introduce his fiance to his grandfather, who at this point is the only family he has. Goku at least was able to get that, just an extra level of closure and being able to introduce his fiance. He even says, "This is my fiance." I love this, man. This is a good moment in this filler arc, to a point that I kind of wish this moment only was canon. At least Grandpa Gohan getting to see his grandson get married. I love that. Goku battles Anin over the furnace, and they eventually come up with a plan to fix the furnace with a Bancho fan, along with the shell fragments from a fire eater and a honey from special bees. Filler arcs always need to do this. They always gotta be so complicated and so stupid with the storytelling. Special bees. ChiChi has both of them, and it ends up working out regardless. The Oxine is saved, the wedding dress is kept intact, which means Goku and ChiChi can go along with their much anticipated wedding and finally get married. The events of the filler arc are just so ridiculous that barely any Dragon Ball Z media ever decides to cover it. It's not like the original movies, which get so much love because of the villains, or even the Garlic Jr. saga, which at least gives some appreciation for Gohan, Krillin, and Piccolo. You know, they have some time in the spotlight in that arc, which makes some fans actually really appreciate it. In fact, the only video game to my knowledge that acknowledges any of the events of this arc is the Nintendo DS game, Dragon Ball Z Attack of the Saiyans. A chapter is completely devoted to telling the events of the game, but because ChiChi isn't a party member in the game, she stays behind in the Dark World for the most part, and her role in the arc gets replaced by Tien, Krillin, and Yamcha, who join the party after you group up with the Mavroshis. Each fetch quest you do as part of the chapter ends with a fight against a Pilaf gang member who are all hard as fuck, to the point that you need to grind to even stand a chance. And instead of ending with the Anin fight, you have an additional segment where you actually enter the furnace at the end. I'll likely do a full video reviewing this game, but I have to say, for some reason, the events of the Wedding Dress in Flames arc is somehow longer than both the Piccolo Jr. chapter and the Raditz chapter put together. It took me nearly 2 hours to finish this entire segment. How did Goku and ChiChi's wedding get so convoluted, so complicated, that it needed more time to describe what happens in it and how it happened, compared to when Goku's alien brother came down to Earth and kidnapped his nephew and had to fight Goku to the point that Goku had to sacrifice himself to die and save Earth. Somehow Goku's wedding is more complicated to tell than that. Sorry, this just gets me angry. It's just stupid. It's stupid. But that's that. That's how Goku and ChiChi got married. The Bancho fan was the key to their marriage, to the key to their success, I guess. And guess what? No one was even at the wedding. Goku's bestie wasn't there. Goku's mentor wasn't there. None of the friends Goku made in his journey was at his own wedding. Only Ox King. What a weird wedding, bro. But it's Goku, so I guess I don't expect anything less. And hey, Gohan was made that night, right? Something positive came of that night. Roll the outro.